students and scholars, teachers and trainers, professors and professionals, those who are listening, watching from the field of science, arts, commerce and engineering, the most honorable President Consul Modi ji, respected ministers and doctors, honorable advocates and advisors, administrators and advisors, Reverend fathers and mothers, affectionate sons and daughters, I, Dr. Rakesh from USC, heartily, cordially welcome all of you. It is really nice time, nice place, nice section. We are going through the words of English literature, language and grammar. From science to spirituality, language to literature. Dear friends, the time which has been given by the Lord or God in praise of the words, holy words or sentences of the language that will really rejuvenate and recreate our youngsters in doing something better, finer and nicer for the betterment and upliftment of our society and nation. As we have studied one of the greatest inspirational, motivational personality, Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein at school. Albert Einstein was one of the greatest scientists. He is known for his theory of relativity. As our school scholars study that Newton, who invented the third law of speed, likely that it is the theory which was invented by Albert Einstein as theory of relativity. But during his school days, he was considered a dull student. How autobiography of Albert Einstein inspires, motivates our youngsters, our scholars and learners. He did not like his school and the subjects taught there. He considered it useless to study subjects other than those related to science. His history teacher was ever at loggerheads with him. Only the mathematics teacher liked him. Albert became fed up with his school. At last, he devised a plan to remain away from school. With the help of his friend Yuri, he managed to get a fake medical certificate showing that he was suffering from nervous breakdown. At last, the school authorities expelled him from school. Einstein, history teacher, asked him in what year the Prussians had defeated the French at Waterloo. He respectfully replied that he did not know. Mr. Brown, the history teacher, further asked him if he ever tried to learn. Einstein told him that he did not see any point in learning dates. He could always look them up in a book. He said he did not think learning facts was education. He thought it was not facts that narrated that mattered, but ideas. Mr. Brown's eyes grew cold and cruel. He asked Einstein, Albert's father had so little money to spare that Albert had to live in a room in one of the poorest quarters in Munich. He did not mind the bad food, lack of comfort, and even the dirt and squalor, but he hated the slum violence. His friend Yuri told him that at least he had a room of his own. Albert replied that having a room was not at all. The people around should be civilized. He told Yuri that he was living among civilized people. At this, Yuri told him that this was not true. One of the men in his locality was killed in a duel. The one who killed him was upset because the authorities had told him not to fight any more duels in future. He was also grieved over the fact that he hadn't a single scar on his face as a badge of honor. Yuri told him that if such boys could be students, then why you could not be one? Albert's cousin Elsa once came to Munich. She lived in Berlin, where her father had a business. She told Albert she was sure he could learn enough to pass the exams. She knew lots of boys who were more stupid than he was, and they got through the exams. They did not have to know anything, only they were able to repeat it in the exams. Albert said that it was the whole trouble. He was not good at learning things by heart. He had interest in books on science and music. His landlady called music wailing and asked him to stop it. He told his friend Yuri that it was absurd that he should go on like this. In the end, it would turn out that he had been wasting his father's money and everyone's time. It would be better for all if he stopped then, but he was afraid that his father would send him back. Albert asked Yuri if he knew any friendly doctor. He said he wanted some doctor to declare that Albert had a nervous breakdown and it was bad for him to go to school. He told Yuri to find a doctor who specialized in nerves. The doctor would certainly help him as he had a real nervous breakdown. Yuri suggested to him the name of Dr. Ernest Wade, who had recently qualified as a doctor. Albert might be his first patient. At the same time, he warned him not to try to pull the wool over his eyes. Albert spent the next day wondering what to tell the doctor when the time arrived for his appointment. He had worried over it so much that he really was quite nervous. He had already given the doctor the history of Albert's case. Albert said that was the real trouble. Doctor would tell him that nothing was wrong with him and he must go to school. The doctor told Albert that as a matter of fact, he was pretty sure he was in a nervous state about their school. Then the doctor asked him briskly if he certified that he had a nervous breakdown and must stay away from school for a while, what he would do. Albert said that he would go to Italy where his parents were. He would join an Italian college. He had learned all the maths they taught at school and a bit more. He would ask his mathematics teacher to give him some written opinion about his work. Dr. Bale thought his stay in the school would not do good to anyone and handed him the certificate. Yuri advised him, if the worst came to worst, he could come back and carry on studying for his diploma. But Albert assured him that he would never come back to that place. We would take the certificate to the head teacher the next day. Yuri reminded him not to forget to get a reference in writing from his mathematics teacher first. Mr. Koch willingly gave Albert the reference he wanted. It was a glowing reference, and Mr. Koch made the point that Albert was ready immediately to enter a college or institute for the study of higher mathematics. Albert was summoned to the head teacher's room. The head teacher told Albert, to his surprise, that his work had been terrible and he was not prepared to have him there any longer. He wanted him to leave the school. Einstein asked the head teacher if it was not an expulsion. The head teacher replied that if he went of his own accord, the question wouldn't arise. Einstein asked him what crime he had committed. The head teacher told him he refused to learn and was in constant rebellion, and no serious work could be done while he was there. Albert felt the medical certificate almost burning a hole in his pocket. He said that he was going to leave anyway. Without another word, holding his head high, he walked out. He left the school where he had spent 5 miserable years without turning his head to give it a last look. He felt like seeing only Yuri before he left Munich. Elsa was back in Berlin when he left. Yuri bade him goodbye and wished him good luck. Thank you, scholars. Thank you, respected personalities, those who are listening, watching, and present today. I appreciate, admire for your presence in admiring words and sentences of English language, education and grammar that may help our scholars in keeping, in making, in building their language better than before. Thank you.